We didn't buy a farm. It wasn't originally a farm. It was just a tract of land with a home, and we decided to convert it into a homestead, and in the public converted it into a farm. You know, it wasn't something that we necessarily came out here to do, to produce on a mass production scale. So yeah. Typically year round we have beef, and we have our pork and our laying hens, and then we run our specialty pasture chicken in the spring, summer, and fall. You don't smell anything. Then just cut the water on for me, and then put your boots on. Well, my name's Terrence Boyd, and I'm originally from Denver, Colorado. And the name of our farm is Wild Boyd Farm. My wife had came up with that name because the first year of farming was wild. So when we actually decided to establish this as a farm business, that was the name that she chose, and we ran with it. We just, we always knew when we wanted to buy our first property that we wanted to homestead. That was just kind of something that always stuck with us, that we always talked about when that opportunity presented itself. That's what we did. You know, we don't come from a farming background, so to speak, like that, and we had really no clue of the lifestyle or what it took to do what we're doing today. It's all coming in green, and that's just from moving and rotating animals around.
She's thirsty. Why are you grumpy? You're fine.
We had a customer reach out to us last week in Strasburg, and a family, and she called and said, "Hey, I heard about your farm, and your practices and what you do, and we have a serious reaction to eggs in the store." And I said, "Okay, well, our hens just started laying because they came off of molting season. So we had a dozen. She ordered 2 dozen, and she said, I've been trying to order eggs from you for so long, but you've just been out of stock for so long, because our product it really doesn't have a long shelf life here because it's just, we don't produce on such a mass level." She tried them out, and she said, "I'll order eggs from you every week, if it's a dozen or 2 dozen." And I said, "Well, we'll see if we can arrange that." And, we've been selling a dozen eggs to her ever since. But she had no reaction to the eggs that we produce here. So, to be able to help someone out with that, a family, it's pretty powerful. So that's what, small farms are trying to do, is to help fill that void, so you don't have to necessarily use mass production food as your only source of protein. So get that filled up. So Wild Boyd Farm is regenerative farming. It's a regenerative farm, grass-fed. When it comes to beef, pastured chicken, and pastured pork. Regenerative farming is being able to regenerate what's there, and continue to use that to grow, to survive. So this farm, is aiming towards self-sustainability, being able to sustain, on what we have, and learning what the capacity rate for different animals on the land that you have, and that'll give you regenerative farming. There's not too many working African American homesteads here in the state that you can go to and visit. A lot of people point out Deer Trail, Colorado, where original homesteaders started, and homesteading now is a little bit different than homesteading back then. Back then they would almost necessarily give you the land, and you would have to make the improvements to the land. This one we paid for, so it's a lot different in retrospect, but still homesteading is still the same. Trying to make improvements to the land, working the land for production for yourself, and it just so happened to start to turn into production for others that aren't able, to do something like this. So I think for most people, for them to be able to see a working homestead instead of a site of a used to be working homestead is something that young black up and coming farmers or ranchers can come out and see. So I think that has a place somewhere.